Welcome everyone. So today is finally the day when we're gonna dive into Lightroom and we're gonna focus on the Lightroom Develop mode. So definitely stay tuned and I will share my screen, and that's like something super exciting. So why do we really need Lightroom? So Lightroom helps us adjust the color and tonal scale of your photos, as well as crop photos, remove red eyes and make other corrections. So in general, if you say like I'm editing, then some people, if they don't know anything about photography, then they're sometimes quite confused. They think that you're gonna Photoshop like new things on your food scene or whatever. But in general, it's like more like making the colors pop. So Lightroom Develop Module is one of the main things where you work on. So again, like first of all, I'm going to walk you through this one, and then we're going to go into my Lightroom and I will show you this one in action as well. So, but first of all, we're going to go into the theoretical part. So again, like on the left side here, you have the presets, snapshots, history, and collection panel. Then next one is the toolbar here, down here, where you can like navigate the whole thing. Then on the right side top, you have the histogram that we talked already about in our another session. Then we have the photo information there, smart preview status, tool strip, and then adjustment panels. And the main thing here is obviously the adjustment panels, where you're going to work the most. And then now we're just gonna dive into my Lightroom. I'm gonna show you my Lightroom in action, and we will see you there. So as I told you before, these are like different parts that you have here. And again, like if you go to your develop module, then here are the presets. You can select here different photos. And then the main thing here is the basic panel. So obviously, like this session here is about like just a quick walkthrough, and we will go into details in our Lightroom details in our another sessions, and especially intermediate and that intermediate course, so where we go deeper into the layers and everything. But again, like this one is just a walkthrough, so because when you're first time, or I don't know, second time in Lightroom, then you might find it like super confusing. But again, like at first you're going to be in your library module, and then the most of your time you're going to spend in your develop module, because like map, books, slideshows, print web, like these ones are not that important, but the develop module is one of the main things that you have in general. But again, so first of all, you are in your library again, and then what you do is that you select your photo and then you press D to switch to the develop module, or you can just press here as well, obviously. So the options here are endless. You can use shortcuts or not as shortcuts. And then the next thing I usually do is that I evaluate my photo. So what I do here is usually I use the zoom tool, then maybe the hand tool as well to play around here, but mostly I check my focus here. And then this is like the main thing and most important part for the zooming in and out. And then the next thing is usually the basic panel. And this one is, I usually start here and go down here. But the basic panel is like the most basic, the most important one. And if you feel like super confused, then what you can do here is that you can always like press the out button, and it's gonna do some editing here already. But again, like this is like the automation version, which isn't usually the best one, especially when you're starting out. But again, like it's like a little guide for you what the automation would do, and sometimes I find it super useful in general. And then you can make a global color adjustment, especially with the white balance. Like obviously with this one, you're going to go a little bit too crazy, but these are just like the options that you can use in general. And then another thing I would highly recommend you to do is reduce noise and sharpening. Obviously, it depends on the photo, but quite often you maybe want to use the sharpening tool or noise reduction. And then obviously you can retouch and correct flaws. For example, I don't know, if I don't like this part here, I can cut the photo. I can see if like my horizon is correct and everything. So just like the basic, the most basic things that you can ever think of. And again, like spot removal, like move some spots, but this one is like, it depends on what kind of spots you have there. Like because Lightroom spot removal isn't that advanced, but we're gonna go into our in our advanced course, we're gonna go into details and compositing and that kind of part as well. But if it's like, for example, like here, like a super minor detail, then this one usually makes like a pretty nice job in general. And then the next thing, you can apply like local adjustments, or you can use the brush tool. So the brush tool, I remember when I started out, this one was one of my favorites because it's here. I can show the selected mask. I can focus only on this area. Obviously, don't be so like, not that correct in general. You can obviously like make it a little bit more prettier, go like into details here, like delete these parts, and then, but yeah, in general, you get the idea here what I mean. So with these ones, you only like edit this part here, that is the red one, and then you can make the clarity or exposure. Obviously, I would not use the exposure, but in general, you are only editing this part that is selected. And then the next thing is that super useful tool is the before and after tool. So here you can press the I, and then usually you can see it here. On here you can have the before and after. Before and after, you have it here. And this one is like a super like quick and useful tool that you have, and what you might need to use, because when you go down the editing process, then at some point, like your eyes get so used to the editing that it's super hard to focus and know what you have done. But in the end of like editing, I usually always go to the before and after tool and see, is it like too much, or is it okay? So this one was like a super walkthrough on Lightroom. But again, like there are so many different parts here in Lightroom that you also might need to, like tone curve, S curve, like these are like one of like some of the things that you can do in Lightroom. And yeah, there are like endless options, but at least like now you know where you should go. You can go to the library, develop module, and then you play around with different tools here, and you can make magic here. So first of all, again, pick your photo, zoom in, zoom out, and see what's working, what's not working, retouch or correct the flaws, and especially like the basics, like if the horizon is not working whatsoever, or you need to cut something, obviously cut as little as possible and try to shoot it already as good as possible, because in the end of the day, you're going to lose quality. And then another thing, again, like side by side option, and see what you have done and not. But again, like this is the thing that we're going to dive deeper in our intermediate course. But I hope this was useful and you can at least get started with Lightroom. Thank you for watching. I hope it was useful, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.